So, what if your next selfie could tell you more about your health than, say, your last trip to the doctor? And no, I'm not talking about some new filter or fancy lighting. I'm talking about an AI that can literally look at your face and see your body's true biological age. Today, we're going to explore how this thing actually works, what it's already telling us, and some of the really big questions it brings up for all of us. It sounds like a simple question, right? But the answer? Well, the answer could be one of the most important things we ever learn about our health. Because you see, that number on your driver's license, it might not be the age that really truly matters. Okay, so to really get why this is such a big deal, we've got to wrap our heads around a pretty wild idea that all of us are walking around with two different ages. Okay, so on one hand, you've got your chronological age. That's the easy one. It's just the number of candles on your birthday cake. It is what it is. But then there's your biological age. And this is where it gets interesting. This is your body's true wear and tear. It's shaped by everything: your genes, what you eat, your stress levels, basically your entire lifestyle. You can think of it as your body's real mileage. And to put that into perspective, the research paper itself gives a perfect example. You could have a super fit 75-year-old who, on the inside, has the health and resilience of a 65-year-old. And the flip side is also true, right? Someone who's 60 could have the biological age of a much older person. And it's that gap, that difference, that doctors are so fascinated by. So the big question is, how do doctors even figure this out right now? Well, as it turns out, it's not exactly scientific. I mean, in super high-stakes areas like oncology, knowing how resilient a patient really is, that's everything. It determines whether they can handle, say, a really aggressive round of chemo. And right now, that life-or-death decision often comes down to what's basically a doctor's gut feeling, a subjective eyeball test of how frail or strong someone looks. Just think about that. This means doctors are making these huge, life-altering decisions based on, well, an educated guess. And that's exactly what the researchers pointed out. There's this massive need for a real, objective way to measure biological age to help them make these incredibly tough calls. And that's where this new tool comes in. To tackle this exact problem, researchers came up with a deep learning model they call FaceAge. The whole idea was based on a simple hypothesis. What if our biological age is literally written all over our faces? And what if an AI could be taught how to read it? So how'd they do it? Well, and this is pretty smart, they didn't start with patient photos. Instead, they fed their AI a huge public data set. We're talking over 58,000 pictures from places like IMDb and Wikipedia. The goal was to just teach the model what a totally average, presumably healthy face looks like at any given age, to build a solid baseline for what's normal. And the process itself is actually pretty simple to understand. First, you just feed it a regular photo. An AI scans the picture and isolates the face. Then, a much more powerful neural network takes over and analyzes all the tiny, subtle features linked to aging. And what comes out at the end? Just one single number, your face age. Okay, so that's the setup. But what happened when they actually used this tool on thousands of real cancer patients? Well, the results were, honestly, they were staggering. If there's one number you take away from this whole thing, it's this one. Almost 5 years. So what does that mean? It means that, on average, the FaceAge AI looked at cancer patients and saw them as being almost 5 years older than their chronological age. This wasn't just a feeling. It was a clear, measurable sign that the disease was literally speeding up the aging process. And listen, this wasn't just about appearances. The AI wasn't just seeing wrinkles, it was seeing risk. And here's the kicker. The bigger that gap was between someone's face age and their real age, the worse their chances of survival were. Okay, so to see if this could actually be useful in the real world, the researchers ran a test. They looked at how well doctors could predict whether a palliative care patient would survive for 6 months. Using all their usual tools and information, the doctors had an accuracy score of about 0.74. So that's our starting point, our baseline. But then, look what happens when you give those same doctors the FaceAge number. Their accuracy jumps up to 0.80. That's a huge improvement. And it really shows that the point of FaceAge isn't to replace doctors, but to give them a brand new, powerful tool to see something that until now has been completely invisible. Now, obviously, a technology this powerful opens up a huge can of worms, right? It raises some really serious questions. And to their credit, the The researchers themselves are the first ones to say, hold on, there are major hurdles we have to clear before anything like this gets near a real clinic. And they're asking all the right questions. Things like, how do we stop this from being misused by, I don't know, an insurance company to set your rates? And how do we make absolutely sure that the AI is fair and doesn't have biases, that it works just as well for everyone, no matter their race or background? Figuring all that out is absolutely the critical next step. So for now, the team is being super clear. This is a proof of concept. The big goal now is to build all the necessary guardrails to make sure that if and when this tool is used, it's only used to help people, not hurt them.
Which really leaves us with one last, very personal question. If this technology was perfected, if it was available tomorrow, and you could find out your body's true biological age just by taking a picture, would you want to know? Definitely something to think about.